You are the Points Guy UK. So the major players in the points world, if we're talking about travel, the major things that people are signed up for are what? Converting your cash. Where do you go? In terms of like normal people trying to rack up points, are you ever really going to make enough points to do anything that extraordinary with them? Traveling and staying in shape. When we're talking about jet lag, when you're actually on the plane, there's loads of rumors like drink a shitload of water, don't eat the food, or don't drink alcohol.
Yeah.
Are there obvious things that you avoid doing because you know it will make it worse?
Well,
Nicky Kelvin, thank you for joining me.
hello.
First, I just want to clarify exactly what your job is, because I assumed you were the points guy, like the actual points guy, if there is even a points guy. So can you just clarify exactly who or what is the points guy and what is your role there?
Okay, I'm very used to this question. I think even like my own parents have been asking me this daily for the last 7 years. So there is an actual points guy, Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
He was the founder of the Points Guy. Actually, the Points Guy is 15 years old today. The Points Guy is a travel media brand, advice brand. We help people with points and miles, credit cards, flight reviews, hotel reviews, helping people to earn the most points they can and spend them in the best way. And I was hired 7 years ago to launch the brand in the UK. And so I was the Points Guy UK. So I was also the Points Guy. People will call me the Points Guy if you approached our brand, especially from like a UK market perspective, you would know me as the Points Guy. But Brian is the OG, and I'm the baby. Well, literally, actually, he's 6'7" and I am not 6'7", so there's like a foot between us. So sometimes we do stuff together, and it's actually quite funny. It's like his little mini me.
How many flights do you think you've taken in your whole life?
Oh,
And that's not, a return doesn't count as one. I mean like a plane journey.
sector, like one sector.
Yeah.
Well, last year I took 110 flights in the year. That was relatively extreme, although in my time at the Points Guy, it has been that sort of level. But let's say, I think we're probably around the 500 mark in my life, I think.
Okay.
Somewhere between 500 and 1,000.
You work at the Points Guy. You are the Points Guy UK. So the major players in the points world, if we're talking about travel, so let's focus in on flying, the major things that people are signed up for are what?
So in the UK, if we're talking about airline programs,
Yeah.
it's the British Airways Club and the Virgin Atlantic Flying Club. Because those are the two big major airlines in the UK that have loyalty programs, and you can earn those points through all those methods I just said. There's a way through the supermarkets, through flying, through online spending, through credit cards, and there's some more minor programs. In the US, it's like that world is enormous. So like the major US airlines have these huge programs. The joke, it's not a joke, but the reality there is that the loyalty programs are actually bigger than the airlines themselves in terms of revenue. So people joke that some of them are like, it's a loyalty program with an airline attached, because they sell billions of points across all these programs to the credit card companies, and the credit card companies give them out to their customers.
Right.
So it's a different world in the US, which is really like why the Points Guy business is so successful in the US, because that market is huge.
So that would be like Amex points and all that, because so many more US people watch and listen to this than UK people.
Okay.
So I'd be interested, unless it's like a huge list of things, but what are like the main ones in the US?
So the three massive airline programs, the biggest are American, Delta and United. They each have programs, but then there's so many credit card programs, the big ones being American Express, Chase, Capital One, and there's various other banks, but I'd probably say Amex, Chase and Capital One are the ones with like these big mile earning programs.
Yeah.
And those points you can transfer into lots of different airlines. And there's a lot of like trickery with that to find the best program to transfer into, to find the cheapest pricing for the flights that you want. They're much more flexible, but also all of those airlines also have their own branded credit cards. So you can get American Airlines credit cards and Delta credit cards. Same as here, you can get a Virgin credit card, you can get a BA credit card, but you can also get an Amex card or a Barclays card or whatever.
I wish you could get one thing which got you points for everything, because it's so many things that you have to have: a BA, a Virgin, an Amex, do you know what I mean? And they all kind of trickle down to different pots. It's almost like I wish that there was just one pot that could go out to everything.
It is a lot, but diversity is good because it means you're able to access lots of different airlines or options when it comes to using your points. But when it comes to what you're talking about, in the UK, something like Amex and earning what they call membership rewards points, they transfer into like 15 different airline and hotel programs. So you can earn them all in one pot and then you can decide what to do with them later. And from those 15 airline and hotel programs, it's not just those, because if you send it to BA, you can use your BA points, your Avios, for like 20 different airlines or 15 different airlines. So the spider's web of how you can use your points is huge when you're earning points like American Express membership rewards.
Talking about Amex specifically, it's the only one I have personal experience on, and I found the companion voucher genuinely impossible to use. Like, the availability and trying to book a companion voucher for me I never even ended up doing it, and I got 2 in my life. So was I just being shit, or is it actually a good thing?
It is tricky, especially if you need to be flexible, but I'll give you if you ever decide to go down that route, if you ever decide to go down that route again, my best tip is to use a website like SeatSpy. And SeatSpy allows you to search over a huge range of dates and routes to find availability. So if you're either fixed on a certain route, like I want to go to Miami or I want to go to Sydney, you can just put that in and it'll give you the whole year's worth of availability just in one click. Or they have this where can I go feature, and you'll put in your date parameters. You say, I can leave between the 10th and the 12th of July, and I want to come back between the 28th and the 30th of July. Press search, and it'll show you all the destinations you can go using Avios, where there's 2 tickets if you're using your companion voucher, on a big map. So you can just look at, and you'll be like, all right, well, I can go to either Barbados or Cape Town or Barcelona or Singapore or whatever. So that's a really good way, because the BA website is like shit.
Yeah, it's
basically.
shit.
And it's really hard and long to do multiple searches. So using a tool like SeatSpy, and there are a few other ones like that, is like so much better.
I've never heard of it, seatspy.com or something. Yeah. So in terms of the Amex, because that is a really popular one, there's Platinum, there's the BA Blue one. Is there one that you think is, because the Platinum card, right, gets you £1 per point. The other one is like 0.5, is it? Or
so there's lots of different. Amex in the UK probably has like 10 to 15 different products. The most popular being the Platinum, the Gold, and then the 2 BA cards. There's a free one and a paid one. I'd say the black BA, it's called the BA Premium Plus Amex. That one is probably the most popular of everybody. In everyone that I know, that's probably the most popular one, because that one has the most valuable companion voucher, the one that you can use for business class. You earn 1.5 Avios per pound spent. Your voucher allows you to book business, but also opens up extra availability in business class. You get access to the discounted cash fares as well as just the Avios seats, so people find it easier to use them. And the sign-up bonuses tend to be big. The Gold card is a good starter card. I should also say that if anyone's going to get a card, like, these are not good cards to hold a balance on. So you should only ever get them if you can pay them
back in full
on time every month. If you're not going to do that, these are absolutely not the cards for you.
Yeah.
So it's important to say that. But if you can make them work for you, they are really beneficial, because you're getting something back for every single thing that you spend. The Gold card's a good starter card because you don't pay the annual fee for the first year, and they usually have a decent sign-up bonus. It's usually about 20,000 points. But then the Platinum card, for a lot of people, if you travel quite a bit, is actually really good. Like, the fee is high, it's 650 quid at the moment. But actually, they've just had an offer with a referral bonus. 100,000 points is the sign-up bonus, which is massive. Put that into context. A flight to Europe, a one-way flight to Europe, is like 4,000 Avios. And you have 100,000 points.
Oh my God, really? 4,000?
So it's like, it's a significant chunk of points. And the benefits that you get with the Platinum card are quite significant. So for your 650 quid, you're going to get things like annual multi-trip travel insurance. You get fully comprehensive car insurance on any car hire, so you never have to pay that extra when you take out cars. You get now £400 a year to spend at restaurants at home and abroad. You get 100 quid a year at Harvey Nichols. You get elite status with different hotel programs like Hilton and Marriott, and the benefits go on and on and on. You also get priority pass, so that allows you to use lounges for free, unlimited, all around the world. Most airports have priority pass lounges, and you can get into the Amex Centurion lounges wherever they have them. That's like some of the main benefits, but there's even more than that. So if you travel like a bit, 650 quid, you easily make it back. I mean, the cash benefit alone is 500 quid a year.
Yeah.
With the dining and Harvey Nichols.
But in terms of like normal people trying to rack up points, because I've got friends that work in insurance, they travel a lot, they get to book business class through work, so therefore they rack up a hell of a lot of points. So you do hear stories of, oh, I got this business class flight to New York with my points and this. So you think, oh, okay, this is achievable. But in everyday life, if you're just a person that goes on holiday twice a year, are you ever really going to make enough points to do anything that extraordinary with them?
Yeah, definitely. It just will take you longer. So somebody who's traveling like what you're talking about, like a management consultant, they're on the road all the time, they're staying in hotels, they're flying, they're going to rack up a lot of, they could be racking up, some people like millions in a year. But for more normal people who are not doing that, by employing these tactics of credit cards, online shopping portals, supermarket shopping, and credit cards, you really can get there. It just might take you a year or 2 years to get that enough points for something juicy. Or if you're using it for something less, like I mentioned, spending 4,000 or 8,000 points on a flight to Europe actually can be a massive saving. If you're going to go to, if you're going to go skiing at half term time or something, I don't know, where flights could be like £500 or £600, paying like 8,000 Avios, it's like a massive saving. And that is, sign up bonuses being in the tens of thousands. You've got that immediately at your disposal. So people who are interested in maybe doing short haul flights, they're going to have enough points even just from a sign up bonus.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth it even for that. I mean, I think hold out and wait for something like big, juicy business class, first class, long haul. I think that's more exciting, but you're going to save money even at the lower end. And actually, if you're earning Avios, for example, you can transfer Avios to Nectar points. So even if you can never use your points or you don't want to use them, you can always just like send them all to Nectar and like spend it in Sainsbury's.
So really, for everyday people that aren't doing the business travel, you're applying what you're spending anyway at your supermarket, because either you have a credit card or these Nectar Tesco club card or whatever.
You do both. You double dip. So if you buy in Sainsbury's, scan your Nectar card and pay with a credit card, and you'll earn your Nectar points, which are Avios, and then on your credit card you earn your points as well. Same with online shopping. Use the shopping portal and pay with your Amex, and you'll earn from both. So I just think for normal people, the reality is those business class flights, it might take you a year, 18 months, 2 years to build up enough points. So you might be able to book one of those trips every 2 years, whereas you might be able to do it every 6 months if you're already traveling a lot.
How many points traditionally in a normal time of year would it be a business return to New York from London?
I'd say like on like in the UK, BA, Virgin, you're talking somewhere around the 100,000 points mark.
Okay. Well,
for return business class.
You said that one card gives you 100,000 points just to sign up.
Yeah, the Platinum card has had recently this with a referral link, 100,000 points bonus. Yeah.
Have you got a referral link for me?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll share it afterwards.
Does everyone have unlimited ones, or do you have one a year or something?
Anybody, no, unlimited to give them out, but they also pay you. If you give a referral link, you get some points back. But I think there's a cap on how many each person's allowed to earn off them, but you could give out as many as you wanted to people.
Oh, that's cool. If I want to book a flight on the internet, where's the best place to go? Would it be a comparison website, or would it be straight to the airline that you like?
What I love is Google Flights. I think they're the easiest, most simple to use interface for searching across all airlines. So that's the comparison site that I use. Some people like Skyscanner or whatever, or Kayak. I always use Google Flights. And then once you found the flights you want, book direct with the airline. So I would never book through online travel agents. You see these, sometimes it's like a few quid cheaper. Even on Google Flights, it shows you the different places you can book. Like always book direct with the airline. It's just not worth it otherwise, because if anything goes wrong, you get stuck in this loop of like, the travel agent says you need to speak to the airline says we didn't book it with us, and I get this all the time from people that they get stuck in the middle. So find your stuff on Google Flights, book direct with the airline.
Okay, that's good to know. I've never used Google Flights, never heard of it. So
oh really? Yeah, it's nice, it's easy.
Oh cool. Yeah, because that was my next question, was going to be, when you do go through Skyscanner, for example, is that in the US as well?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so if you go through one of those and then it comes up with the options of like go to gate, travel pony or whatever, like 10 quid cheaper.
Kiwi.
Yeah, totally. You are tempted to save a few quid. You'd be like, oh, well, let's just do that. But I myself have had the experience when you needed to change a date or add a luggage and it's a complete pain in the arse. So you think just go straight to
the airline. It's just not worth it. The saving is never enough to just, if everything goes right, it's actually, I don't think it's really a problem, but things often go wrong. And by wrong, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be just like the time changes on the flight, or like there's a delay, or your bag gets lost, things like that. And it's just so difficult when you haven't booked direct.
Right. And then in terms of actually last minute versus 8 months before, so I'm incredibly last minute. I will book my flight the week of going somewhere, because if I get a job, maybe it's freelance life, I just don't really commit to it.
Yeah.
But would you say that that's shocking in terms of getting value out of your flight, or do you think that it doesn't make a difference if you do it the day before versus 6 months in advance?
It definitely makes a big difference, but for a lot of people, there's no if you're talking about freelance work and you need to go somewhere, it is what it is.
Yeah.
If you're talking about what I hate is when people are like, let's say you go on a group trip and you know what you're doing, you know when the dates are, and you're just like not booking, like everyone else booked like 6 months ago, and you're like, oh shit, I really need to book my flights. Generally, as a general rule, flights just get more and more and more expensive as you get closer to a date. It's very rare that they do some kind of big price drop, because usually they're selling the cheapest fare buckets early on in advance, and then as time goes on, those sell out and the more expensive tickets are left. So the day that flights are released, especially with low cost airlines, tend to be when you'll find the cheapest pricing. In the mid-term, like ahead of 3, 4, 5 months out, you might see sales pop up where airlines are trying to sell more seats. Day before, day of, that is when you will see tickets at their absolute most expensive, because they know people at that stage, if they're trying to buy that flight, they have to buy it. They have no choice.
Okay, so do book in advance.
Booking as far in advance as possible. Don't wait. You can on Google Flights, it allows you to track flights, price fluctuations. So like you can do that, and it usually will tell you. It tells you on Google Flights like prices are high or prices are low, like compared to other dates or that time of year. But like once you know what you're doing, just book it. One really nice thing about booking flights with points and miles is that you can cancel them and change them. There's usually a fee. It depends. Sometimes if you have status with an airline, it might be free, but with BA, for example, it's 35 quid to cancel or to change. So you can book your flights and just work it out later.
Is this a myth or not? I go on Skyscanner, I look for my flights, I find my options, I park it, come back to it in a couple of days, go back on Skyscanner, and they knew that I was on there and they jack up the price. Is that actually true? Are these cookies or whatever they're called listening and watching me, and they know that they're going to put that up for me versus someone who's fresh to the site?
Yeah, so people ask me this all the time. Maybe there's a chance on like these comparison sites that you'll see some differences, maybe, but when it comes to like the app booking with the airline, that just isn't the case. Maybe there's different pricing if you were like in different locations, but usually pricing comes from the departure airport. So like for example, if you book a flight, if you're here and you book a flight from New York to London, it's priced in dollars anyway. You can't avoid that. It's usually priced in like the departure airport's currency. So that's one thing, because people say, oh, change your geolocation and maybe it can be cheaper, or hide delivery cookies or whatever. Ultimately, when it comes down to it and you get to that last stage and the airline's giving you that final price, I don't see evidence that is different depending on whether you've tried to book or search for that flight before.
Okay. And do you ever just skip the comparison site like Google or Skyscanner and go, because you like them direct, go straight into the Virgin website and book via them?
Only if I know exactly a specific flight that I need to get. But generally, Google Flights is just so much easier to search. It's very rare that you're flying on a route where there's no choice whatsoever. So like if you're flying to New York, for example, there are, I don't know, these days there could be 30 direct flights from London to New York every day across like 6 or 7 different airlines. If you're flying somewhere like New York, there's probably 30 odd flights every day between London and New York direct across 6, 7, 8 different airlines. And so lots of routes, that's an extreme example, but lots of routes are like that, where there's multiple airlines competing, price is constantly fluctuating. So I'm pretty much always using Google Flights to kick things off, find what I want, then you can actually click straight through to the airline website. When you click on Virgin on Google Flights, it'll load up that flight. You don't have to do the search again on the Virgin site.
When we're talking about jet lag, so you must be a master of jet lag now.
Well, jet lag, I think, is something that can just get you when you least expect it. I think generally I am not that badly affected by jet lag. Maybe I've learned tactics that can mitigate how extreme it gets or how bad it affects you. But I think some people are just affected really badly by it. And I'm not, honestly, I couldn't do my job in the way I'm doing it now if jet lag like killed me every trip. But I'm very strict with when I sleep. Like I won't arrive in a destination. Let's say I'm going to the US. I will really push it and not go to sleep until a reasonable bedtime, because that's where you really mess it up. Like if you fly somewhere like LA, you get there at 3 p.m, it's like almost midnight UK time, and you just like, you're so tired and you go to bed, you fucked it.
So you tried to get into local time straight away?
Yeah, always. Always when I take off, I'll set my watch to local time, and then I'll try and play to that. So if I have a very long flight going westbound, there might be time for me to like try and have a sleep straight away if I'm a bit tired. Often it's the morning, so you're not really tired anyway. But arriving in a destination, I try and like be on that time. I use fitness. I try and go on a run, see light. If it's light outside, if it's dark, embrace it, go to bed. Sometimes use melatonin to help me go to sleep. But generally, like, I don't struggle that much, and I'm fine with going west, like going to the US, where I'm happy to wake up early. I'm happy to go to bed a little bit earlier. Like, you know, you're tired by 9-10 o'clock, that's fine. And then be up at 3-4 in the morning, go to the gym, do some work. I struggle more going east because I hate this feeling of like, you can't go to sleep late until really late, and it's 2-3-4 in the morning and you're still awake. And then you fall asleep and you're waking up at like 9-10-11 a.m. like so sluggish, and I hate that. So again, I just do my best to like try and wind down, get to sleep as much as possible, using like the gym or running as like a way to like tire myself out. And I do think that really helps, especially a run, being outside, like an outside run. You get to like see a bit of the environment. I like to play a bit of music that's like from the place as well, gets you in the spirit. And then that tends to like keep me good.
So when you're actually on the plane and you're let's say you're doing a flight over 7 hours, because I'd probably say that jet lag is when you're flying longer than 7 hours. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's when you feel a bit funky when you land. If you go to New York, you can kind of get over it quite quickly, but if it's a bit longer, then not. So if you're on one of those flights, when you're actually on the plane, there's loads of rumours like drink a shitload of water, don't eat the food, or don't drink alcohol.
Yeah.
Are there obvious things that you avoid doing because you know it will make it worse?
So lots of people say the thing about food. I know people who will just like fast on planes. I don't do that. I actually really like plain food, and often for my job, if I'm reviewing the flight, then I have to eat. I could fake it, I guess, but like I don't mind that. Meal times are like a nice way to pass the time, especially if you're in a nice cabin. Water for sure, and I don't really drink on planes. I try and avoid it. Like if it's a really long flight, maybe I'll have like a glass of wine with dinner, or like if they do an interesting cocktail, maybe I'll have a cocktail. But generally, I just avoid alcohol, which means you sleep better. I don't get how people really associate traveling with drinking and like hammering the drinks, especially if you're flying in a really nice. If you're flying like Emirates first class, they're serving like drinks that are like thousands of pounds a bottle. And I get it, like if you're into booze, like it's an amazing opportunity to like have all this amazing drink, and like, but you must land like just an absolute mess.
Yeah.
So I don't do that. I fly too much to like, so I'm not really that bothered to drink on planes, so I avoid that. One thing which also is worth bearing in mind, and this gets sort of like burrows deeper into like the aviation geek world, is if you pick the right aircraft, you will feel different. So two good examples of this are the best example is probably the Dreamliner, the Boeing 787. The cabin pressure, the altitude that you're experiencing is lower than on other aircraft. So it's more like being on the ground when you're on those aircraft, and the cabin air is more humid. And so the planes are designed to create an atmosphere which is more like being on the ground. If you fly, like if you've ever experienced flying on an aircraft like a Dreamliner and then followed it up with a flight like an aircraft like a 777, which is like a very common long haul aircraft, you feel very different. I do for sure, and I do this stuff a lot. Crew feel that, Like if you want to have the best chance of feeling good, like I find on like a 777, like it's like my hair feels like hay. It's like so dry, my skin's dry, and I'm more tired. Versus an A350 or 787, where you actually feel like more hydrated, less tired, sleep better. So that's a little hack. Like find the right aircraft.
But I don't know if people ever actually look at the aircraft when they're booking. Where does it even say that information?
Big mistake. Google Flights actually. So if you on Google Flights, if you just like click the drop down where it shows you like the flight number and the route and the flight time, it also has in there aircraft type.
Okay.
And it's really important. It's like the difference between, you know, the best and worst versions of even the same cabin on an airline. Like the very best of Qatar Airways business class, which is probably the best business class in the world, and the worst business class, the difference is huge in terms of your onboard experience, the seat, the bed, like everything. And same with economy. If you're on a really old plane, you're even on the same airline versus like their newest product, your experience will be completely different.
But do they know that, so they'll put a premium on those aircrafts that you've spoken about, like the Dreamliner or the A380 versus the whatever the crappier ones are?
There tends not to be a premium price wise. Like you could see on the same route, like, so let's say it's to New York and Virgin are flying like their oldest and their newest planes, you wouldn't see a price difference based on that. But what you definitely see is airlines will put their best aircraft on their most premium routes, which is usually the more expensive routes. So like London, New York, the most lucrative route in the world, that is one where airlines will make sure they have their best planes, their best products to be competitive. Whereas an airline, the same airline might put on its leisure routes, for example, so Orlando, it might put its oldest planes versus somewhere like New York or LA.
And what airline would typically have the most up-to-date planes? Like what fleet is kind of really up there?
It's a tough question because it really does like every airline has newer and older. Virgin actually does have one of the youngest fleets out there, but its older Dreamliners have a product which is like not really competitive anymore, but their newest planes are really brilliant. Lots of airlines are investing a lot in new products. They're getting new aircraft delivered all the time. Airlines at the moment are incredibly profitable, and they've been investing a lot in making products really nice. So it's hard to say like this airline has like an amazing, consistent across the board product. But I would say my what I think is the best airline out there for me is Singapore Airlines, and they have a pretty consistent and great product across all their aircraft. In every cabin. I've flown every cabin in every aircraft pretty much for Singapore, and I've always had a great experience.
I've flown to Perth direct from London when it first was announced.
With Qantas.
Yeah, Qantas Dreamliner it was as well, because I remember. And I've flown to Australia quite a bit because my brother lives there, and I've never had a more enjoyable flight to Australia because I did not feel that jet lagged. Now I think I know why, because you're saying that the Dreamliner probably meant that the air was higher quality or something. And then also just going straight to Australia on one plane was a godsend, because I think the layover is a bit of a pain in the arse. Have you ever done that route?
I've never done that. I've been to Australia. I've never done that direct. We are about to do... we're going to shoot a video on the world's longest flight. Do you know what that is?
Is it?
Currently.
Not New Zealand.
No, it's New York, Singapore. It's 19 hours with Singapore Airlines. They don't even have economy on the plane. It's just business and premium. So we're going to give that a go and see how that goes. That's on an A350, also an aircraft like the Dreamliner, which is like better for all those things. But what is coming soon is what they call Project Sunrise. So Qantas are going to start flying direct from both London and New York to Sydney. And they've developed a whole new aircraft for it. 4 cabins, economy, premium, business and first. New cabin in all of them. It looks pretty amazing.
Wow.
And they've put in these like, even in economy, they have this kind of like rest and stretch area with like padded sides where you can like go and stretch and stuff. And they've really put a lot of thought into making that flight, which is probably, I think it's going to be, 21 odd hours direct.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what that feels like. Hopefully we'll get on board those like really early to experience it and
When's
show
that?
what it's like. They keep pushing it back, but I think it's going to be at some point in the next year probably.
Wow, that would be amazing. I mean, the flight's can be astronomical, isn't it, in terms of price, probably?
Yes, there's going to be a hefty premium, like there always was on that London-Perth flight. It was always way more expensive than flying through somewhere.
Yeah.
But Air New Zealand are actually just about to launch what they call the Sky Nest. That's pretty cool. That's bunk beds at the back of economy where you can buy for 4 hours. If you're flying in economy for 4 hours, you can buy access to it and you can have a lie down
Love that.
in like little like bunk bed setups, which is like, I think really interesting.
Yeah.
That's something that's, you know, real benefit to people. And then there's also, I think it's them that has the Sky Couch where they have this kind of flap down thing across 3 economy seats. You know, there are innovations like that. They're real. They are either exist or are coming.
And economy, you window or aisle?
Window, always window.
And is that for the view or is that to lean your head or what?
The view.
Okay. Even on a long haul, you'd go window?
Yeah.
So if you need to wake someone up to go for a piss, what do you do?
Wake them up to go for a piss.
Do you?
Yeah.
How?
Try and climb over.
But you try to climb over?
Yeah, sometimes. I could be quite nimble. I'm quite small. I can just like get on the armrest and sort of like creep over.
And then they wake up and like your crotch is in their face. It's always that moment, isn't it, where you're like,
you know,
kind of crabbed over them.
You know, I tried to get past you. No, it's usually all right. People get it, or you just wait until they go. You wait till they go, and then you go.
In the 90s, there was rumours of, oh, hi sir, oh, swapping ticket. Here you go. You're in first class today. I've heard stories of my dad maybe getting it when he used to fly for work. This doesn't happen anymore, does it?
No, I mean, people talk about like wear a suit, say this to this one or whatever. Like, it's not. There is no surefire way of getting an upgrade. If you want to fly business or first, book it ahead of time. Use your points, do the upgrade, pay for it, whatever. Have it secured. One thing which is always good to do, and which you can try, is taking treats for the crew on board. It's not going to secure you an upgrade, but the crew work hard. They get underpaid, I think, for what they do often, and a box of chocolates or whatever can go, or a big bag of sweets or a few big bags of sweets can go a really long way and just make them feel good. And if anybody's going to get a bit better looked after on the flight, it's going to be you for giving them that. And it's a two-way thing. You know, sometimes I think it can be a bit icky, like you feel a bit beggy, like giving them a treat, but they do really appreciate it. And even if it just means that you get like an extra G&T or whatever it is, like, and sometimes I have heard of that resulting in an upgrade. I think like going with that intention is like not the way to go, but that is something nice you can do for crew who work very hard to look after you, and you will get better look after for sure.
And do you gift them as you enter the plane?
I think like if you're going to do it, I think
after
just
takeoff.
Yeah, no, I think it's like before takeoff, but just like don't make a big song and dance about it. Find a friendly looking face and just be like, oh, I got you a little treat just for you all to share.
For economy, what is your best economy airline in your opinion?
Best economy airline, I think the Middle East airlines do it really well. So your Emirates, Qatar, Etihad, Singapore as well actually, but I think those Middle East airlines are pretty solid in economy. I think you'll find more legroom, better food, better entertainment. I just went to on a work trip to the Maldives and I flew Emirates, so 4 flights through Dubai there and back, all in economy, and it was a pretty good experience. Like for economy, I think it's pretty solid.
And what about like a Euro trip if you're just doing, you know, one of the many economy choices that you've got in London or whatever? Flying
to Europe, I think with Europe it just comes down to convenience and price. Like I think like really being like, I really want to fly BA, like whatever, I think fly from the airport that's most convenient for you. Find a time that's the best time for you to fly, and a price that is like a price you want to pay. I think for a flight that's less than 2 hours, it's not worth like upending everything just so that you get on a specific airline.
If I was to blow loads of cash on the most amazing long haul flight of my life, who would I fly with?
I think for the drama of it all, like Emirates first class with the shower, or the Etihad apartments with the shower and the bar on board, is like pretty hard to beat.
Okay, I love the drama of it all.
Yeah, like, you know, it's like just imagine like you having a shower on a plane is like, wow, it's really cool.
And it's not like a little, like, you know, cramped thing. Is it a proper shower?
It's a proper shower. You get a 5-minute time limit, but you can stop it, but it's like 5 minutes total. But you get like such nice products and lovely pajamas and slippers, and it's really like there's a hairdryer in the bath. It's really cool.
This is a good one for lots of gay men listening. Traveling and staying in shape. So obviously, fitness is a big thing for gay guys predominantly. Would you say that you manage to maintain some sort of fitness schedule when you're traveling so much?
Yeah, definitely. Like I try and be really strict. It's important to me both because I want to stay in shape, I want to stay healthy, and also I think it helps with structure, jet lag, working out all that stuff. It's good for my own mental health. I need that regularity, consistency of working out. I've always been like that. I think that at its very easiest, and I mentioned this before, like going on a jog, a run when you land somewhere keeps you fit, keeps you sane, gets you out in the fresh air, gets you out in the light, and you get to experience or explore somewhere. But personally, I have a fitness program. I use this guy Matthew, Conditioned by Science is like his brand, and he just creates a program for me. And what I love about him, or the way that I do it, is I give him, he has my schedule and he knows where I am and what hotels I'm in, and he'll look at photos of the gym wherever I am. And in the app that he has, he just like loads a program which uses the equipment for where exactly I am at the time. So it also means it feels like I'm tied to it even that little bit more. So like I'm going to Barcelona tomorrow, and it's like I've got workouts, and it's like workout with the name of my hotel, and it's like made to be for that gym. And if I'm going somewhere, for example, that just doesn't have a gym, then it'll be a run on one day, and then he'll do a body weight workout that I can just like do in my room. So that's my approach, and it works for me.
I'm going to Barcelona tomorrow as well.
Are you? See you there? Going to Primavera?
Primavera, yeah.
Yeah.
What time's your flight?
With every other gay in London.
I know.
10:10 BA.
AM.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm in the evening, I think.
Okay.
I don't know what flight I'm in, but I've booked it through like a Go to Gate dodgy thing. So
good luck.
I'll see if I see you there. So again, staying in shape when you're traveling, do you typically book hotels that have gyms built in, so you're not like tracing around the city trying to find somewhere?
Yeah, if I really have a choice. And so especially if I'm traveling for work, like I'm not reviewing a hotel, so we stay in like pretty like bang average hotels. And when I have a choice, like if I go to New York, for example, we have like a cap on the amount of money we're allowed to spend per night when we're traveling for work. So within whatever's in my range, I'll just find somewhere usually that has a good gym, or somewhere that I know, like for example, the Moxie East Village has a deal with the gym right opposite across the road, and it's like a really big, great gym. Like I hate a small rubbish hotel gym.
They can be a bit crap, can't they?
Yeah, so either like I'd like to stay in places that have a great gym, or they have a deal with like somewhere very close by, rather than having to like hunt around. But like sometimes I was in Cape Town in January, in a hotel that I absolutely love. It's amazing. It's so cool. It's called the Dorp, and it doesn't have a gym. And in that case, I'm not even thinking about it. And I'm on holiday, and there's a gym like, 10-minute walk away, and just make that work. But I do love like an epic hotel gym, and some hotels are really like invested and they have like amazing spaces. And I was just at a conference in Miami last week at the one hotel, and they just have a brilliant gym there, and it just makes such a difference.
But going to the gym for you like to maintain that routine when you're traveling. You don't slack from it, because it's easy to think I'm going to sack it off because I'm jet lagged and can't be arsed.
Yeah, it's very rare that I like deviate unless I'm ill. Like I'm doing it because I don't mind it. Like I'm not really forcing myself. I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
So, and I know it helps me, and yeah, so I just get it done.
I guess the other side of that would be diet when you're traveling, because this is where I fall apart. My diet at home is very good and very strict. As soon as I get to the airport, I've got a Pret sandwich. Not that that's particularly unhealthy, but you just start eating convenience and shit. And
Yeah.
the US, I just find impossible to eat healthy there.
Yeah.
So what's your structure in terms of how you're staying healthy?
Yeah, so I try. I think actually my biggest trap is when I'm at home and like working from home from my place, where I've just like I can just float back and forth to like the cupboard or the fridge and just like constantly getting stuff. I actually think when I'm on the road I'm a bit better because I'm busier. I'm eating the meals at meal times when they're being given to me, but then I just try and like make little adjustments. I love food, and when I'm away I really want to experience like different cultures' foods, but I just try and be like better. So like hotel breakfasts, I usually have like an omelette and salad and maybe a slice of toast. Sometimes I don't eat breakfast, like keep to like something solid, healthy protein. On planes I'll like just not take the bread, or like only have a few bites of the dessert and then eat the whole like starter and main, like things like that, just making these little changes. One thing which I've started doing more and more is like, you tend to, like, most planes now have snacks, even in economy on long haul flights. So like, if you fly BA and Virgin, they'll have a box at the back of the plane with like crisps and chocolate and, you know, snacks, biscuits, whatever, which is like, that's really bad because if you're going bored and you're going backwards and forwards. But I take from the airport, or if I go to a lounge, from the lounge, just a load of fruit, fresh fruit, oranges, bananas, apples, pears, whatever, and that's what I snack on in the flight, and that keeps me like occupied and not eating rubbish, because that's where you can really fall down. One thing to remember though is like, always get rid of it all before you get off the plane, especially in the US, because they'll like come down really hard on you if you take like importing fruit.
And when you're actually in the place, the city, do you ever prepare food yourself? Do you know, a little kitchenette scenario, or
no,
you don't bother with any of that? You just typically
really.
will.
And I just try and be more healthy. Just like try and choose a salad or a whatever. Like just try and not get burgers and pizza and whatever. And sometimes you want that, and sometimes you don't. I find it hard in places like India, where I love the food.
I know. Oof.
And I just like, and I will happily eat Indian food for like breakfast, lunch and dinner. That's where it's like a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do an extra little run or an extra little whatever. I don't know.
You must be very good at spending time alone.
I don't actually like being alone. I'm quite extroverted and I get a lot of energy from being around people. I do travel quite a lot with either with colleagues or like on trips. So I fly alone relatively often, but it's a bit of a mix.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think long trips alone, I don't really like that. I had a bit of a nightmare trip last year. We did this round the world thing, and I was like very alone. It was really hard. A lot of stuff went wrong, and that was pretty miserable.
Do you have a boyfriend?
I don't have a boyfriend. Not really.
How do you find relationships with all of this travel?
Like at the moment, it's kind of working. My current situation is working out fine, good, actually. One thing I would say is most of my travel is quite short. It's like a lot, but short-ish. So like I do a lot of like 2, 3, 4 day trips. I just did a 2.5 week trip for work. Like I came back from that about a week ago. That's very rare. Like anything more than a week is like really, really rare. So like, you know, when you're back in London, like at least once a week for a few days, it's not actually that extreme.
Okay.
I think it'd be difficult if I had a partner who traveled a lot as well, and then like it never matched up. You know, you were like piggybacking being away and you never saw each other. But I guess I've been like officially single, like without like a very serious boyfriend for quite a while. Like my last boyfriend, we broke up in COVID, so it's been a bit, but I did have that boyfriend while I was traveling and doing this job, and it worked. And I think what I've got going on now is working. So,
have you ever had a long distance, like met a guy when you were traveling and then really hit it off? Or
no, not. I've done a bit of long distance, but not because I've met them when I was traveling. It was more like people who I'd met here and then were not living here really.
Right. Okay.
But I've never really done like proper long distance.
So when you are on your travels, like meeting the local men's not really on your agenda.
Don't have time. And not that I haven't done that, but also like that is quite a lot of effort, especially like a lot of my trips I'm somewhere for literally like a few hours or one night, one day. And I'm not into like a hookup. Like a hookup is actually not for me, which probably is like, I've definitely traveled with people before or colleagues before where like they're happy to do that and that's a bit easier. But if you want to like go on a date and you somewhere for one night, it's not actually that easy.
Yeah. Although I do like traveling and then meeting a local gay guy on a date basis to show me around.
Yeah.
That's quite nice because you get to see what it's like to be gay in that city. And have almost like a tour guide, but it's a date at the same time.
I have done that before, sort of. Actually, I was with one of my straight friends, but I sort of did that in Taipei a few years ago, and that actually worked out great. He like took us out for the night, and it was like sort of date, sort of. I don't know what it was, but like, that is great.
Yeah, and then having local gays as well in different cities is just great anyway, because it means that you've potentially got plans in a city that aren't basic tourist stuff. Do you know what I mean?
That is something which I do in a lot of places around the world. My network is like quite varied, and in a lot of places that I go, I have like someone or some people where I can Yeah, that I love like, I'm coming here, like, and they'll just be like, right, we're going for dinner at this place, and then we're gonna go here. And
Yeah.
that I like. I really love that.
Yeah, same. Gays love to travel. I sat down with a Lonely Planet expert, and he was telling me how huge the LGBTQ travel sector is in terms of money for hotels and travel and all that sort of thing. Where have you gone, either by yourself or with a partner or with a friend, and thought, oh, this is a really great gay-friendly place? You know, I went to Key West, and it was very gay-friendly and very charming, and I thought, oh, this is such a lovely place to come if you're a gay guy.
Yeah. I think you can find that in a lot of places. One of my favorite destinations at the moment, I absolutely love it, is Seoul in South Korea. It is so fun, so cool, and actually for like a gay boys trip would be like super fun, I think.
Okay.
And I think Bangkok also is like another Asian city. Like Asian cities are like fun and great.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like around Europe, something a bit closer to home. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm the wrong guy for that. I'm not going on those kind of trips.
You're not got your speedos out and you're going to Provincetown or something.
Yeah. P-Town's meant to be good. People love it there.
Yeah. Okay, so just to wrap up, I've got a couple of just quick ones for you. Converting your cash. Where'd you go?
You mean on holiday?
Yeah, I want to take out cash. Do I go to the post office? Do I do it on a...
Oh, so I use the Curve card, and I try and spend everything. I have it on Apple Pay and then have the physical card. So I'll take money out of an ATM in destination using the Curve card if I want cash, or I'll just use a card to pay for everything. There's very few places you go in the world now where you can't just be paying on card for everything.
Okay.
Curve both will, with the right Curve product, you don't pay foreign transaction fees, and it charges it to your UK points earning credit card. So it charges to my Barclay or Virgin card. I earn 1.5 points per pound. I don't pay foreign transaction fees. So that's the way that I do it.
So do you...
And you can take money out the cash machine and earn points on your cash as well.
Wow. And you have a Curve card exclusively when you go travel, you put money into it, or is it your day-to-day card?
No, I have it. I actually use it at home for certain places. So you can select certain retailers that you get 1% cash back on. So I have mine set to Tesco, Sainsbury's, Amazon, a couple of other places. And so at Deliveroo, so it means that you get 1% back on all of those retailers and your 1.5 points per pound on your credit card. Right. So it's actually just builds up and builds up the amount of money that you spend on like in the supermarket, Amazon, and I find that like really good. And then I use my Amex cards or whatever other cards for everything else.
What is your go-to points card that you use all the time?
I really mix it up depending on the purpose. So I have the Amex Platinum, the BA, the black one, the Premium Plus card. I've got the Virgin Atlantic Premium credit card. I've got the Curve card. I've got the Barclays Avios, British Airways Avios card. And I mix it up just to make sure I hit the thresholds to earn the vouchers. And if there's specific offers on in some places, like if I'm spending money with BA, I use my BA card because you get 3 Avios per pound. So I have all of them. And I have a Marriott Bonvoy Amex as well. So I put all my Marriott spend on that.
So if you could only have one?
If I could only keep one at the moment, I'd probably keep the Amex Platinum because I use all the benefits from it and I get a lot of value out of it.
Items you always travel with?
Always have earplugs. Always have a comfortable sleep mask so that I can be dark. One that has like keeps the mask away from your eyes with like a foam thing.
Yeah.
I travel everywhere with my Neilmed sinus rinse. So I do that morning and night, like a salt, and I don't know if you've seen those, like salt in a squeezy bottle, and you shoot it up your nose, and it, like that, I really think like helps like keeping me healthy. It helps with hay fever. It helps with, I get sinus infections, but also like on planes, keeps you like clean and clear. Those things are like all absolute essentials. And I have my other big essential. I have a plug adapter that you can put any plug into. It makes any plug, and it also has like USB-A and USB-C sockets as well, so it works in like any country, any situation, for anything. That is like an absolute essential for me.
What luggage do you have? What brand? For
my Sins, I have Rimowa, and they look so fit, but like they're just so impractical. They break all the time.
Really?
Yeah, they look. I have the silver ones, the aluminium ones, and I do love them, but like they break. I think it's like they're not that sturdy anyway, and they get dented and stuff. But also, I really think that like baggage handlers see them and they're like, wanker, and they like throw them extra. That's why like I've decided. I feel like that happens.
But I think a battered Rimowa looks better than a new one. I kind of like the old one with all the stickers on that looks a bit shit.
Mine are, so if you see my cases, they are battered and they're covered in like cargo and whatever stickers. Like they look cool, but when I say like getting a dent is fine and it makes it look nice, but I'm talking like the wheels are gone when they arrive. It's like stuff like that, or like it's bust something open so that like the join is misaligned so you can no longer like close the bag. It's like things like that, and it happens way more often than you think. But they do have a lifetime guarantee, so you just take them to Bond Street and they just fix it. So it's actually good. At least if they didn't do that, I just would definitely get rid of them.
If you wanted to sleep on a plane and you don't have the luxury of having a flat bed, what is a good tip for it? Is there a sort of neck pillow? Do you take a melatonin? Do you take anything stronger? Like, what's a good tip for that?
Yeah, so for me, I don't sleep well on planes ever, even if I have a bed. But for me, it's just like melatonin definitely helps. And loading up, if you can nick a few pillows from around you, that's like good. And also, if you're flying economy and it's a quiet flight, immediately this is the kind of thing where like treats for the crew might help you. If there's a set of 3, especially, you might find them in the middle, because like people don't select those, they select those middle seats last. So if it's like people want windows or aisles, if you find a set of 3, speak to the crew, lay claim to it, and that is like your key. That is, they call it poor man's business. Like I, even in the last few weeks, have downgraded myself from premium to economy, where I'm able to get 3, get a couple of blankets, couple of pillows, set up a bed. If the crew are really nice, they did this for me once about 3 weeks ago. They even got me like the little mattress topper from business, and they gave it to me, and so I put it across the 3 seats. And
gorgeous.
That's like elite economy flying.
Because those donut things aren't very good, I don't think.
Yeah, there's a brand called Turtle, and I've used them before, and they have like it's almost like a Velcro thing wraps around you, and it's got a hard bit.
Oh, I've seen it, yeah.
And so I think for some people really like that. I struggle, just like always, really, on planes, sleeping.
I think my own personal hack when I fly long haul is I always get on the plane last. Mm-hmm. Like literally the last person to get on the plane, and then if I walk through, I see an empty 3, I will already claim it, because I presume there'll be like last passengers on now. Yeah. Is that a good thing, do you think, or is that risky business?
The only reason to board a flight quickly is like if you're flying something nice and you want to experience it for as much time as possible, because you could get an extra 30-40 minutes, maybe you care about that. On short haul flights, on smaller aircraft, if you need overhead baggage space, that's really annoying. Like you could end up having to have your bag checked, or it's in a place at another end of the plane. But on like a long haul flight, big aircraft, like it just doesn't really make a difference. I think it's not a bad tactic at all. And also, if you're in economy, like who needs to sit there for an extra 30 minutes while everyone else is boarding?
Are planes at certain times going to be quieter? If you're booking a plane to Australia, and naturally the plane might be half empty on a morning flight versus an evening flight, is there any tip there?
There's no rhyme or reason, really. Like I find that I can find flights be like very full or very busy, even the same flights. Just sometimes like they're busy, sometimes they're not. Obviously, if you're flying at the busiest times, you're flying like around holidays, they're always going to be busier. But I think it's very hard as a general rule to be like the morning flight is always quiet, for example, because also like that wouldn't make any sense if that was the case, because the airline just would like change it or like not fly it if it was always empty.
Do you sign up to any of these immigration speedy things? You know, US have one, don't they?
Yeah. So in the US, Global Entry it's called. That's the one that I have, and it is an absolute game changer. I think if you go to the US, if you go at least once a year, like even just once a year, it's worth it. With the application cost, and you have to do this like UK bit before, it costs about 150 quid and it lasts for 5 years. So it is beyond, it's invaluable. So like immigration queues in the US can be an hour, 2 hours.
Yeah, New York one, yeah.
Any of them though, they can be really awful. LA, Miami, the last couple I've been to, like terrible people who, if you're with someone who doesn't have it and they literally wait for 2 hours, and usually Global Entry is like There is no queue. You don't even take your passport out of your pocket. You look at this. You look at the kiosk. It says proceed. The officer will be like, Mr. Kelvin, go. That's nice. It. It's so good, and you get TSA pre-check with it, which means when you're going through TSA through security, when you're leaving the US or you're on a flight departing, you have a separate queue, quicker line. You don't take your shoes off, don't take your laptop out your bag. Like everything is like much quicker, much better. So and to say it lasts for 5 years and renewing it is so easy as well. It's like an absolute no-brainer. They also do have this thing called mobile passport control. MPC, I think it's mobile passport control. It's just an app on your phone. You pre-register, and when you land, it's a separate queue. And people are saying now that I think it's free actually, and you don't need global entry to do it, and you just need to register every time you're about to land. And that means sometimes you can just not queue at all, also without having to go through the process of global entry. But you don't get TSA pre-check. But I'm just like, once a year is enough for me to justify the cost to get 5 years of global entry.
Do you have EU citizenship?
No.
Damn. That's such a pain in the ass that happened.
But they are talking now, recently, it's been in the news that as part of the new like EU negotiations between the EU and the British government, that one of the things they're fighting for or asking for is for British passport holders to be able to use the e-gates in EU airports. So that will make a difference.
Right. For everyday people who are flying economy, are there any obvious not expensive add-ons that you can put on your trip? So say the tenner that it costs to go through the express security lane, or anything to make your trip feel slightly more easy and luxurious.
I think like picking the right seat makes a big difference. Like being stuck in a middle seat is the pits.
Yeah.
And I think forking out for an emergency exit or a bulkhead seat is like revolutionary, especially on a long haul flight. Sometimes it's expensive, but I think actually like in economy, being in an emergency exit where you've actually, on some seats on big aircraft, you've actually got like endless leg room in front of you.
Yeah. You
can stand up, sit down completely freely. I think paying 70, 80, 90 quid for that kind of thing, if that's what it costs, is like totally worth it, because you're getting like a completely different experience. You're not crammed in at all. So I think that can really elevate the experience, and it's probably within budget for a lot of people.
Okay, great. And finally, what have you got coming up? So we're going to Barcelona together.
We're going to Barcelona on our big gay holiday on tomorrow. And aside from that, I've got some really exciting stuff coming up. We're doing probably the most exciting thing is, I don't know how much I can really say about this, but it's a race to Fiji. That's all I'll say about it. But that's going to be probably one of our biggest trips of the year. We're doing the longest flight in the world with Singapore Airlines, which is separate to that. We're covering some of the Taiwanese airlines. If you're into Hello Kitty, we're going to do the Hello Kitty plane.
Oh, right.
Which is full on like branded on the outside. The service on board is all Hello Kitty, everything. So I'm quite looking forward to that.
Do you love your job?
I absolutely love the good stuff of my job, and it's so unique, and I don't think any other job would compare to it for the good stuff. But also, like, just to have this out there, and I end up saying this a lot, is that like it's still work, it's still a job, it still comes with lots of like hard work, difficult stuff, annoying stuff, like anything.
Yeah.
But for me and my interests and my passions, the good stuff is just the best. Do
you think that one day you will want a bit more of a grounded life, where you're not around as much?
Yeah, I think so. But I also, the Points Guy is part of a very big company. If I was going to stay with them long term, there are lots of different routes I could go down. But I think like long term, maintaining the kind of lifestyle I've had, especially in the last 18 months, is probably unsustainable.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, and I'll see you in Barcelona.
See you in Barcelona.